You see, the guys at Continental Wealth Management, they have extensive experience in creating bespoke, tailor-made wealth management solutions that fulfill your needs and aspirations for now and the future. They know that quality of service is never a coincidence, and this is why so many people trust their personal wealth and that of their heirs to Continental Wealth Management. Continental Wealth Management. Investment is all about timing.
Continental Wealth Management claimed to offer sound professional financial advice. However, they were operating illegally as they had no license. Their goal was to sell their clients products such as insurance bonds that they didn't need and couldn't afford. Their strategy was to put their low-risk clients' money in high-risk investments to maximize CWM's own commissions. Between 2013 and 2017, CWM scammed 1,000 victims and robbed them of millions of pounds. The clients never realised that CWM were gambling recklessly with their life savings. The director and shareholder of CWM was Jody Smart, also known as Jody Bell.
It's nothing compared to Jody Bell's gamble. She's the director of a wealth management company and is worth an estimated £13 million. But she's prepared to risk all that to turn her millions into $1 billion.
This was her partner, Darren Kirby. Darren Kirby, the controlling mind behind CWM, despite not being a director or shareholder. The man responsible for hundreds of victims of pension fraud, lost £50 million of his clients' funds and left a trail of destroyed lives in his wake. We filmed one of the hundreds of CWM's victims. Mark Davison, a former loyal Shell employee and British expat living in Spain. Mark lost his entire £415,000 Shell pension to CWM. CWM invested Mark's whole pension in high-risk structured notes. CWM Jody Bell/Smart and Darren Kirby made a fortune in commissions out of destroying Mark's pension fund. In Mark's own words, this is what happened.
I left the UK in April 2014 after 35 years with Shell International. So clearly I've built up a significant pension pot, yes, which turned out to be £415,000.
If Mark had kept his Shell DB, defined benefit pension, it would have paid him a guaranteed healthy income for life. Instead, he ended up penniless. Meanwhile, Darren Kirby of CWM devised another scam to fleece yet more money from Mark. Darren Kirby offered Mark a position in his company and promised him shares in CWM. Shares in the company that Kirby had no intention of ever giving to Mark.
Then he said, look, I've got a proposal for you. He said, I like the way you operate. He said, but I'm prepared to offer you a directorship, 5% shareholding in the company. He said, which is valued at £10 million.
Mark was flattered by the offer. Kirby also told him that he would pay Mark €5,000 a month until he retired.
He said, for you to become a director, I'm suggesting $400,000 that you pay, basically, which will offset the 5% shareholding, the stipend I'm paying you until 65.
So Darren Kirby wanted Mark to pay £400,000 for a 5% shareholding in CWM.
The only money I've got in the world is a pension. He said, I know that. He said, so what I suggest we do is transfer your pension into a QROPS, which we'll look after for you.
So Darren Kirby of CWM looked after Mark's £415,000 pension. First, he stuck Mark's pension money into an OMI bond, which earned Kirby £33,200 in commission. Then Kirby invested the funds in high-risk structured notes, which earned him another 8% commission.
So I went with a portfolio, ultimately, of complete structured notes. No funds, nothing else.
As each structured note matured, Darren Kirby told Mark to transfer whatever was left over to CWM.
In all cases, as these funds became available through maturation of some notes, I literally the next day made the transfer. All I was concerned about was paying off this £400,000 debt.
Mark now thought he had shares in CWM and that he was in debt to CWM for £400,000. But Mark didn't realise that he had no shares and that Darren Kirby never intended to make him a shareholder.
Then I became aware of some of the notes in which I'd invested were basically toxic, in that there was never ever any chance that they were going to mature. He said, okay, he said, that's not good news, but he said, you've got an unencumbered property in the UK, which I did have, in Colchester.
Mark's pension investments in toxic structured notes were failing. There wasn't going to be enough money left to pay the £400,000 for the promised 5% shareholding in CWM. Darren Kirby now had taken whatever was left of Mark's seriously damaged pension fund. But with more than half his pension destroyed and his house on the market, Mark still didn't know what Darren Kirby intended using the £400,000 for. So Mark asked him.
He said, my wife also has a fashion business which is in its infancy and needs some start-up capital. He said, so I'm disseminating the money that you're providing across the two income streams.
Mark had paid Darren Kirby £400,000 for shares he would never get. Mark's money would be used to prop up the rapidly failing CWM and to fund Jody Bell's fashion business.
I've been diagnosed with depression from 2 or 3 weeks after the Continental Wealth collapsed, and I've been living on Social Security since then, and the money's just dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. So at the moment, I'm literally living from hand to mouth. So all this money that I invested in Continental Wealth Management basically is sunk money and it's gone.
Suffering from severe depression and diabetes, 4 weeks after he gave this interview, Mark was found dead at his home. He died with €9 in his bank account. Mark was one of 1,000 CWM clients. The actions of Continental Wealth Management have left families financially crippled, torn marriages apart, and driven people to suicide. Where did all the money swindled from the CWM victims go?
Hi, Jody.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And I just know I'm going to reach the stars, and that's where I'm aiming for, and that's all I can say, really.
A stunning house in Spain, fast cars, and a shoe collection that would give Kamalia a run for her money.
These are a limited edition Jimmy Choo pair, actually. Behind, there are more shoes.
In just 6 months, Jody's pumped £500,000 into her new brand. Are you a risk taker?
Absolutely. I think you have to be, don't you? It's been easy.
Well, I'll have a pint of whatever you're on then, please. I'll have a bit of that confidence.